Hey, it's Matt Roush,
And Mike Brennan.
and we're back with another segment of the M Squared TechCast.
And we have a repeat offender, Richard Steenan. Richard and I go way back. Gosh, we go way back. He's written a number of books, like There Will Be Cyber War, which I read, and the Chinese are going to kick our butt in that book. I'll tell you, they're fighting the next war while we're still fighting the last war, right? So
yeah, very true.
But we won't get into all that. That's not what the topic is today. It's more of, there's a lot of websites out there that are trying to get people to log in for one reason or another that are going to provide COVID-19 aid or advice or you name it. So what kind of warnings would you offer folks about how do you sort out the good from the bad, Richard?
Yeah, it's always a challenge, and the bad guys take advantage of the current hysteria, whatever it is, right? So it could be a volcano, it could be an earthquake, whatever. They're going to latch onto that and get you to click quickly without thinking and hovering over it to see where the URL actually leads you. And right now we've got just a combination of scammable events, right? The Treasury is issuing checks to everybody. The insurance companies might have something to say to a business owner about COVID. Your unemployment registration has got to go through, which means going back and forth, emails and clicking on links. So it's almost like you're getting trained to just click on a link and go there and fill out the form, give them your information and move on. And of course, they're going to ask you to log in. And as you're logging in, you're giving away your credentials to do that. So it's just like the old scams, phishing scams that you would fall for, only it's got a COVID flavor to it that you're more likely to click on.
Yeah, for instance, getting to unemployment, there's, a week ago they announced there's 340,000 potentially fraudulent claims out there just in Michigan,
Sure.
out of 1 million or so total. So that's like a third that could be criminals. That they're not totally sure yet, but that's what they're thinking. So that's a pretty big number.
Yeah. Though it's probably a lot smaller of that are actual cyber criminals because giving away money is a sure way to encourage fraud. Right. So people that are claiming things that they shouldn't, basically. Just like the vast majority of credit card theft is by the owner of the credit card, right? Who denies a claim that they paid for something and cancels their credit card or whatever. So same thing, but for sure, somebody living in Eastern Europe doesn't need as much money as we do here to live on. So if they can make $1,000 a month stealing stuff from people, they'll do it.
Yeah.
So what's the latest? What's the latest on ransomware? What's up with that lately? I haven't, because of the pandemic and other things, I haven't heard nearly as much about it lately. But I would imagine it hasn't gone away.
No, it has not gone away. It's still fully in force. It seems to have taken a twist where it's morphed into combined ransomware. We've encrypted all of your stuff and pay us to get the decryption key, plus extortion. So not only did we encrypt all your stuff, but we stole all your stuff. And we're going to release, embarrassing emails or things you wouldn't like to see in public, et cetera. I think one of the silly ones was, a state system, right? Most states are fairly transparent. This would never work in Florida where everything is transparent, right? There's no such thing as private email if you're working for a university or in the government in Florida, which is a great defense against that kind of extortion and great advice for anybody. Never do anything that you wouldn't want to see on the front pages of the paper.
Yeah, never write anything down. That if you write something down, invariably somebody's going to see it, whether you like it or not. And so be wary of that, right?
Yep. Just like when you're posting on social media.
Yeah.
Someday, so you're on Reddit, which feels like you are anonymous, right? Because you just make a name up like that. But someday you're going to say something so outrageous that somebody will dox you, right? They'll figure out who you are from all the things you've said. And now everything you've ever said, your racial, racist stuff or your pro-Trump or anti-Trump stuff will be associated with your name. And, you may not have wanted that. So anonymity is not a good protection.
Yeah, not all your Facebook friends are actually your friends, right?
No,
This is true.
Definitely not. So what else is going out there in cybercrime land that besides all the COVID-19 scams? What else? What's the big thing on the horizon right now?
Well, the huge thing is that, most organizations had plans to move to some sort of cloud architecture, right? So, and that involved getting people secure access from any device wherever they are. And we talked about, people getting access from coffee shops, which we don't go to anymore. But the first 2 weeks in March were the most dramatic change in IT infrastructure probably since the invention of the mini computer, because every single company sent everyone home. So all of a sudden they went from 5% of their workforce working from home to 100% and shutting down offices and trying to get out of their leases and, sending the security forces home that used to guard those offices. Dramatic change. So I've heard people describe it as 5 years of plans were compressed into 2 weeks. Tremendous expense. Some organizations had to buy computers for everybody because they didn't have adequate computers at home. And if you tried to buy a monitor or a headset or a microphone in the last 2 months, you realize that they're impossible to get. And at the worst possible time, because the supply chain from Asia was shut down, 3 months before because of their own COVID problems. So we ended up with, just a drastic impact on supply of electronic goods into the US. And refrigerators, I can tell you, because our refrigerator died and we couldn't find one until it was deliverable in end of July. And even then,
that happens. That happened to a friend of my wife.
Yep.
He lost his refrigerator, and it's like a 6-week delay to get a new refrigerator.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
You used to be able to just walk into ABC Warehouse and it would be delivered the next day, but not right now.
Exactly.
So,
it's a good thing mattresses are made mostly in the United States, because we know mattresses are the hottest selling thing there are. They're pop-up stores all over, and they'd be all out of business.
Yep.
But that change was dramatic for the business network, because the business network used to be all about having a corporate network connecting all the offices. People would go into an office, they'd get on a network that was secured, and then they do their thing and they'd be monitored and all the rest. Now everybody's doing that from home. So what happened is the corporate network just extended to everybody's home, increasing the attack surface, as we like to say, and just dramatically changing the prospects for companies that had solutions around that. So the ones that were enabling so-called secure access edge for the cloud, which is basically a proxy service that you reach over SSL, or the guys doing zero trust networking, all of them have had tremendous quarters. And I don't see an end to that, because we may be lifting some of the restrictions and people are starting to go to work, but most companies, I think, will have a flexible work from home schedule.
Well, that's what the non-teaching staff at Lawrence Tech is doing. Most of us are back in the office maybe 1 or 2 days a week, which is, that's about how often I really need to be there,
Right.
Truth be told. And that's true for a lot of people, but other than that, I mean, I talk to people on the phone and I write up stories for magazines and websites. I can do that from anywhere. So
yeah, that's right. That's right. You have to go into the office to get your mail, and who sends mail anymore? So other than me, because I mail books out to people, now they can get them.
Well, one of the things what I do every day is I go on a long bike ride. That's my big exercise.
Good for you.
Part of that is going through the parking lot by the U of M hospital. And before COVID, there was never any parking spaces in there. And now it's only half full. He's telling me that the essential staff are in the hospital, but all the support staff are at home.
Yep.
So I really think, and I think that corporations have seen, people have been wanting this for a long time. It's now here and they're thinking, well, it's actually working. Why do we want to go back to the old way, right?
Yeah. The first time I ever heard anybody say, oh, the world's changed, we're all going to work from home, was 1994, I think, when the Summer Olympics were in Atlanta. And Coca-Cola told everybody to work from home because the traffic would be so bad.
Right.
And that was when we started saying, oh, now we're going to work from home. Then, of course, the dot-com boom. And we thought the same thing, because you can do it. Why have this expensive office space? But even one of my last corporate jobs, the CEO insisted everybody work from the office in San Jose.
It's become much more a matter of personal preference and control, and
Yeah, And the great thing is we've gotten over all the kind of professional hurdles, because it used to be really embarrassing if you're working from home and your kids started screaming or your dog was barking or they're mowing the lawn outside. But now we just accept it. And it's kind of cool to have the kids show up and expose a little bit more of somebody's life. So we've changed in our expectations of what work from home is, right?
I was watching one of the political chat shows last week, and the host cat made an appearance on the couch behind him, and started grooming herself.
It's a Zoom rule. If somebody shows their cat, everybody else has to get their cat and introduce them to each other. So the other, back to kind of a COVID fallout. I had one guy described to me. He says, the average dwell time of a hacker on a corporate network after they get in is as high as 270 days before they're discovered and the breach is announced afterwards. So if during this COVID, we know the attack frequency is much, much higher. So some of the really bad guys are actually breaking into networks right now, and we won't hear about them until probably October, November of this year. Yeah. And that's when all the news of all the big breaches will occur. And it'll be directly associated with this time frame.
Okay. We got a little over a minute left, so go ahead, Richard. Tell folks, what's your latest book you have out? I know you just put out a new one, right?
Yeah, I did. I collated all of my essays that I wrote in Forbes and put them in a book, collected essays. And that, that would be of interest to my fan base, which appears to be about 2 people, not including family members.
Me too.
And but also those who kind of want to walk through historically, what was this industry analyst thinking over that time. But my real project during COVID has been to finish writing a book that I started 8 years ago called Curmudgeon: How to Succeed as an Industry Analyst. So it's a how-to book for anybody interested in that line of work.
Okay.
Okay.
And if folks want to look at your book collection, other than going to Amazon and searching for your name, I'm sure you have a website where they're all parked, right?
Yeah, all the books are parked at ith-press.com, itharvest-press.com.
4-year students love Lawrence Technological University's thriving campus life, but LTU has always met non-traditional students' needs too. Lawrence Tech offers over 100 degree and certificate programs that can get adult students started or back on track. And most of our classes are conveniently offered evenings at our beautiful Southfield campus or online, so you can balance your social, family, and work life even while you power up your career. Lawrence Tech, where Blue Devils dare.